Hi everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode of our new video series, Mr.Beer Reviews, found only on our YouTube channel. Together we will review craft beer, commercial beer, homebrew, basically anything that has to do with beer and brewing, we will review it for you. So today I'm joined by Zach, our brewmaster extraordinaire and CSR, and we also have Matt. Matt handles all the design for our company, and he's awesome. He also has a really good palate, so we're happy to have him today. Today we're going to be drinking a really interesting mix of beers. Some of them are very traditional, and some of them not so much. So we have over here, this is a German beer with a lot of heritage behind it. This is the Gravensteiner. This one is a lager, but it's a Keller beer or a Zwickel beer. Try to say that 5 times fast.
Bless you.
Bless you. And then of course we have the Lagunitas, born yesterday. This is a fresh hopped pale ale. We also have the Weinstefan Vitus. This is a Weizenbock. We have the Corbinian Doppelbock, which is a Doppelbock. And then we have the 1050 imperial stout, which is our kind of our wild card. It's our dessert. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. We'll crack open this first one. All right. Ooh. And this one is unfiltered as well. So unfiltered lager beer, that's first iterations, were brewed by brothers Carl and Anton Veltins in the 19th century, a bit earlier on. This beer exhibits a silky soft amber color with orange hues and has a smooth velvety head. The initial flavor is dominated by caramel with light undertones of honey, roasted almonds, and fresh fruity notes closely resembling bright green apple. It has an intense and slightly malty sweet taste, but is still tangy and elegant and finishes with a light roasted bitter note coupled with a nutty character. So this beer, like all the beers that this brewery makes, they all follow the original Reinheitsgebot edict. So they're very, very traditional, and it really shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a delicious beer.
Oh my God.
It really is. Mm-hmm. And it's got a little haze because it is unfiltered.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you can see that in the appearance.
Yep.
But still, I mean.
But the color, the
It's
flavor,
beautiful.
the aroma.
Beautiful aroma.
Yeah.
Crackery,
Yeah.
bready, got
Honey.
a little yeasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little nutty.
Yeah, and another fun fact about this brewery is that even though it's very German in origin, the brewer that took over operations in 1852 received his brewing education in America. So by that, he was able to take German techniques and ideals about ingredients and create something that was really desirable to both an American and a European palate, which is nice.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
And when was this?
That was in 1852.
So was
And then
A little while.
just a little bit. And then part of what makes their beers so special is that they have a natural protected spring that brings the water up out of the ground, and it's a very soft water profile, which is really ideal for this particular beer style. And while like a lot of beers of the time kind of got their start, in monasteries or abbeys, these guys actually started out of a tiny guest house. So yeah, it's very, very, very rags to riches, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. That could definitely be a new house beer for me. That is delicious.
Yeah, that's really good. That, I wasn't sure when I read that green apple note, I was expecting something else. But this is like apples and honey.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Honey crisp.
Yes, it's really nice.
Really, yeah. It's got a lot going on for a lager.
Very layered.
Yeah, and it's a decent body too for a lager.
And they don't tell us much about the malt bill itself or about the hops specifically, but that it's all premium German ingredients.
Yeah.
Yep. And this one has a Beer Advocate score of 86 and is at 5.2%. So Yeah.
I'd expect that
Right.
one to be a little higher, but 86 is still pretty good, so.
Yeah.
I think there's just so many options out there and so many people with different preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Pass this one over to Matt first. Take turns. Oh.
This is probably fresh hop, so.
Hello, friend. That smells like a basket full of melons.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, man.
Back to you.
Little honeydew, little.
Ooh. Well then.
Oh, man,
Yeah, wow.
So this is the Lagunitas, born yesterday. It's a pale ale at 7.2% and 60 IBUs. So
It's a big pail.
yeah, it's not. Oh, but it's real smooth and sweet.
Yeah.
So this is the new version of the Reborn Pale Ale. It's a new Dogtown Pale with a fresh addition. We added some wet, lulipin drenched, unkilled, whole cone, fresh picked, and rushed straight from Yakima hops for your immaculate reception. And that's a really good way to actually put it.
Yeah, no, that is a fabulous.
It's got a
fabulous
98% on Beer Advocate too.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a
it's
good beer. And it doesn't taste like
nice.
7.2, that's for sure.
No.
No, it's like smooth and sweet and beautiful.
I'd say mid-5s, low-6s at
And it's
best.
such a clear, I mean, they
Yeah.
just,
But
I
it's-
mean, the quality control is just
Yeah.
amazing from these guys.
They've got it dialed in.
They've got it dialed in,
yeah.
for sure.
So each barrel of this beer is wet hopped with 11 pounds of wet hops. 11 pounds. Those include 11.
That's a lot.
That is a
Simcoe,
tremendous lot.
Citra, Mosaic, and Sabro, which is, I feel like you don't see Sabro as much, and it's a really
It's a great
it's a
hop.
great
good hop.
hop,
I think
yeah.
that might be what's given that really strong
A lot of
melon.
smaller breweries usually
Mhm.
put it in their beers because
Yep.
they can get a little bit at a time and
Yep.
not have to get, Lagunitas pretty large brewery, so it's
Absolutely.
probably an expensive hop when you're buying in the millions.
They didn't tell us much about the the grain bill itself, but I mean, this is pale malt. You can
Yeah.
tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's probably why this is showcasing hops. It's not really about the grain.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's fabulous.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, a little wet grassy
Mm.
going on, like not mildew, but just wet
Just
on
wet,
grass.
yeah.
Just wet
Yep.
on grass.
Yeah. that's-
Finishing pretty darn dry
Mhm.
Yep.
because it's 7.6, right? Something like
7.6,
that.
7.2.
But it's finishes dry, so just want to keep on drinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh, this
But
could
yeah.
be dangerous.
yeah,
And then-
because it
This could
tastes
get
like
you
a
into
crusher,
trouble.
but it's not.
No, it's not.
And after a bit, you do start getting the
heat.
Yeah.
and the great fruitiness and that
more
part
of that
it.
lingering bitter kind of builds.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. So obviously this beer is all about the hops. One of the things that makes it special and also seasonal is that they pick the hops when the lulipin glands are at their most full and robust. And then as soon as they cut those hops down, they go straight to the brewery off the Yakima farm.
Wow.
And they're immediately implemented into the beer to maintain that really
That's cool.
strong burst of fruitiness that you get from them. And something that I learned about the founder of Lagunitas, which was Tony McGee, he in 1993 dumped a bunch of homebrew down the back of his stove. And then his wife went to cook the turkey and she set the turkey on fire, burnt it to a crisp. And from then on, he was no longer allowed to brew in his home kitchen. And so he opened a brewery, and here we have beautiful Lagunitas beer. So
Yeah. Kudos.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Definitely
Yeah.
cheers
thank you
to
to
the
his wife
To its
to
wife.
the best making and the
for
wives.
kicking, kicking him out. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, what's next? Oh, now we're getting traditional. So we're gonna go into our Lagunitas Weinstefan. This is the Vitus. And this one is a Weizenbach. It is a 7.7%. It is not a small one. This one has also a really high beer advocate score. It is 95.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh man. I've smelled this beer several times and it never gets old. So this one saturated with fine yeast and topped with a creamy head of foam. Vitus is our pale wheat bock. It has a fruity profile. Resplendent with aromas of dry apricots, that comes right out of the front. Citrus notes, cloves, and readily perceptible in flavor with a hint of banana. Full-bodied and effervescent with fine bubbles of carbon dioxide. So definitely I would say that is true.
Yep. All of the above.
Yeah. And a lot of people know this, but Weihenstephan is the oldest continuously running brewery in the world. Not in Europe, not in the US, but in the world. They've been doing it when dates only had 3 digits. That's
They've been around a while.
That's how long they've been doing it. So yeah, their brewing history goes back almost 1,000 years, which is
just
that's a
awesome.
very long time. Oh God,
Yeah,
that
if you're looking
banana.
for a wheat beer
This
with banana and cloves, this is the one you want.
I feel like
and
this
it
would
really
be
is.
up your alley too, because it's
I mean,
got
I love
that.
it. Yeah. And I so rarely have a Weizenbach, or I'm sorry, a Weiss beer or a wheat beer that has so much banana character. A lot of these new world styles tend to go more towards the spicy end of it, rather than the clovey and banana part. But this one definitely has it big time.
Yeah.
Spades.
And this was one of this was like really the first brewery that had has documentation of when they first started using hops too, which is really cool. Because prior to that, it wasn't really, you could use them or not. It wasn't really like a rule at that point, and they were getting them from, there was a hop garden that was nearby, and they were like, well, let's do a little trade, and they got their hops. So, yeah, cheers to them.
Wow.
For sure.
It's a really good beer.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was in 768. See, 3 digits, in case you were wondering.
Last time I had this beer was from tap from this little German restaurant in Florida. They had this on tap, and I had a few pints of it. It was just phenomenal, especially with German food.
Usually a huge wheat beer fan, but if it's balanced right, it's great, and this was fabulous.
The phenols in this, they're there, but they're soft.
Yeah, it's not like a punch to the jaw by any means.
Yeah,
it's
no.
just layers of flavor.
There's no rubber bands in this beer,
No.
which I appreciate.
Yes.
Sometimes those really phenolic beers, man, you're like,
Very artificial smelling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so our next one, another one from Weihenstephan. This is their Corbinian Doppelbock, another big boy at 7.4%. This has a beer advocate score of 94, so some good ones in here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, when you've been brewing for 1,000 years, I guess you can
You had better.
get the rave reviews.
Oh man. Oh, this is smells a lot like the Weizenbach, but is roastier.
Yeah. It's very Marseny. You get a lot of the fest beer kind of notes from it. But there's more roast to it, obviously.
So this, a little fun fact about the name of Corbinian, it's actually named after Saint Corbinian, which is who started the abbey that ultimately became Weihenstephan Brewery.
Cool.
Yeah, so this is their tribute beer. Yeah, it's a really good Doppelbock. The Corbinian Doppelbock has a strong character and even more flavor. Named after Saint Corbinian to honor the founder of the Weihenstephan Monastery, made with premium German malts and hops according to the traditional German purity standards. This dark Doppelbock wins over beer lovers with notes of plums, figs, and balancing the dark malt aromas reminiscent of toffee, nuts, and chocolate. Yeah, so that's definitely, it's interesting because it's very fruity, but it's also very roasty.
Yeah, it's, again, very balanced, layered flavors. Nothing kind of screams and punches out. It's all just there.
Yeah, it's just laid in really nicely.
And you can perceive each one of those flavors, but not drown out another.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And this one actually, Corbinian was recognized as one of the best examples of a Doppelbock in Germany at the World Beer Awards. It has also won an award at the AIBA. So this is a very highly lauded beer, and I think it deserves it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I get a lot of nutty characters.
I was just, it has a nut.
It's just big time. I mean, that's the first thing I get. And then I look for like the fruit part of it, and it's there once you start looking for it, like the figs and the dried plums or whatever. It
has almost like an umami note to it too. That's really
it has in the aroma, but not so much in the palate.
In the aroma.
Yeah.
It's slight though.
Yeah.
Some beers are like too much.
For sure.
This one's nice.
Russian Imperials tend to be a big offender in that area, but it's part of the style. So.
Yeah. You gotta have a little bit of umami in there. Yeah, this is a good one.
It just finishes really clean too.
Yeah.
I mean, caramelly clean.
And I love these beers. I will tell you though that like of all the beers that I have attempted to clone, the Weihenstephan beers are always the most challenging because they're good not because they have A, B, and C in them. They're good because they're brewed correctly and with such a level of skill that the simplicity is part of a feature of their beauty because it showcases the craftsmanship.
Exactly. It's not something you can just say, I bought this XY ingredient and I can make this beer at home. It takes some serious knowledge to replicate something like that.
Absolutely. So, and a lot of it's in the water and the air and I mean, just like wine beer has, I think, like a terroir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, are you guys ready for
dessert?
For dessert? Yeah? Okay.
The big stuff, big boy. Sorry.
That's okay.
Wow, that I didn't realize the wheat beer Weissbach was 7.7.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
They're fat
and it doesn't
beers.
taste that way.
It doesn't.
These are danger, Will Robinson.
Yes, they are.
10.50. Nice. Black. Midnight.
The room just got dark.
I'm always bowled over by the layers in this one. I mean, it's imperial, it should have layers, but some imperials will just go, they're just pretty flat-lined.
Yeah.
And this has a lot of nuance to it, which I think the darker malts you start using, those nuances start to get harder to pull. And so this one's nice for that reason.
Yeah.
So that's the Oscar Blues 1050. It's an imperial stout with a 10.5% ABV and it's 65 IBUs. It has a nice high score on Beer Advocate of 97. So this Titanic, immensely viscous stout is loaded with I don't even know that word. I think it means a lot. Flavors of chocolate-covered caramel, coffee, and a hide and hefty 90. Oh, it says 98 IBUs under the smooth malt blanket. Maybe that's what's actually there, but the 65 is what's perceptible.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of two-row malt in it, but then that chocolate malt, and then I think you can really get the roasted part.
Roasted big time.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But again, it's not a total sock in the jaw. They balanced it out very well. I think that's really the key when it comes to a lot of these 90+ beers is that, they've got all these incredible ingredients, but it's done well, just balanced.
Yep. And then it's got the flaked oats and I feel like you can tell that those are there. They just kind of give it that little refinement at the end.
And even though it says viscous, it's actually not that cloying. It kind of finishes almost dry for an imperial stout at least.
Right.
Well, oats are interesting because they can have that effect sometimes. They'll sort of dry out the finish of a beer, but then silk in the front of it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. All right, so you guys came to your conclusions.
I'm going to need a bigger fridge for all these house beers. Because I think out of all 5 of these, I would not be able to pick a favorite.
No.
Right.
I don't think I can either.
So being partial to, it's October, middle of October, and it being basically hop harvest season right now.
I'm
partial with the fresh hop because right now it's like the best time to drink them.
Yes.
This past month. So that's probably the best that you're going to get it all year.
Right, exactly. Get that one while you can, while it's fresh.
Yeah.
This is not an ager, that's a lover.
The rest of the beers you can drink
drink
anytime of this year you want.
Yep.
That one you definitely want to drink right now.
That one's beautiful.
And on that I agree, for sure.
Well, as usual, I can't make up my mind. just, you know, that's the star I was born under. But my top pick is definitely the Lagunitas, but a very close second is the Vitus. I just think that is
It's
such
fabulous.
a well done beer. Yeah. So, but to be fair, I mean, have you ever had a bad Meisterfang beer?
No.
Ever?
Not
Yeah.
once.
I don't think they make a bad one.
No.
It's more like you have a bad palate, that's a good beer. No, that's mean. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up just about for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in making beers like this or really any beer in general, check out Mr.Beer.com. Get yourself a beer kit. It's really easy to start. If you can make soup from a can, you can make beer.
And you can get kicked out of your kitchen too.
Yep. And then maybe go on to open a brewery. We have an offer for listeners of this channel where you can get 20% off of our 2-gallon beer making kits. It'll be here somewhere on the screen. All you have to do is create an account. In order for the coupon code to work, it's Mr. Beer TV. And again, we'll throw that up somewhere.
Dash TV?
Yep.
Dash TV.
Mr. Beer Dash TV. Thank you. What would I do? What would I do without him? If you do not create an email account, the code won't work. So make sure you create the account on MrBeer.com and also make sure that you are logged into that account while you are ordering. We will list all the details about everything in the description of this video, and make sure to follow us on our social media platforms and find more of our videos by just searching Mr. Beer. So thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.